everybody.
Hi, friends. Well, from beautiful Salt Lake City, Utah,
It's Thank God I'm Atheist.
the podcast.
I'm Frank Feldman.
And I'm Dan Beecher.
And coming up on the show today, Dan, those crazy things we do when we leave religion behind.
You know, yeah, it's boy, it's carte blanche, baby.
Well,
it's a whole new world.
and it's probably more extreme or noticeable when leaving certain groups.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah, that's true.
Places-
If you're leaving, Catholicism, you probably just sort of fade out. But people don't fade out from Mormonism, I'll tell you that right now.
Like, woohoo, I can eat meat on Fridays.
Suck it, Pope.
Look at me being crazy. All right. Well,
I can do all the things that I've been doing the whole time.
all right. Well, first we have some stories from the week, things
Yes, indeed.
we need to talk about, Dan, including just quite the commotion caused by the Minneapolis City Council.
Oh, my.
Oh boy, Dan. They took the opportunity when their 3 Muslim council members were away to observe Eid to to vote on an issue that they knew that they were supportive of. And that there was the remaining council without these 3 would vote down. And so
You're telling me that they did the ethical thing, just fucked over their colleagues by waiting until they were in a
religious observance. It was a rent control issue. Apparently, Minneapolis is considering implementing rent control, and they would like to. The actual majority of the council would like to put the question on the ballot this fall for the voters to decide. But
Republicans hate it when voters decide things.
But when these 3 were missing, they went nuts. Apparently, one person in the audience was wise to what was going on and shouted out Islamophobia during the meeting. I don't know if it's Islamophobia, but well done pointing out that the the Muslim members of the council were missing. The issue is it was a little bit of a clerical error, apparently. The council is more than willing to reschedule their meetings around council members' religious or cultural observances. And so this one might actually fall a little bit on the 3 Muslim members of the council, because last year they decided to hold the council meeting on Wednesday to accommodate Eid.
Okay.
Because it had been predicted to fall on Thursday. However, Muslim holidays apparently are so slippery in their scheduling.
That's right.
That's
right. Yeah. Like saying, hey, we'll do it on Wednesday instead of Thursday is no guarantee.
Yeah.
If you're that far in advance.
Yeah. Which is insane, because don't we know the motions of the stars and the heavenly bodies more accurately than this?
But we refuse to tell the Muslims about it.
And so
they can't know.
because they must have sort of realized the error at some point, but nobody alerted the clerk's office to reschedule it. And then by the time people did bring up the issue, it was too late to reschedule it.
I'm going to need you to stop victim blaming here.
What? That's not what
it's
I'm
not
doing.
their fault that their dumb holiday moves around.
It's not specifically their fault, but you really can't expect the rest of us to just accommodate it. So if it's so capricious right? The scheduling of this thing.
Yeah.
That's
tricky, but still, okay. So the thing fell on the day that they weren't expecting it to. The scheduling got all messed up. It doesn't make it ethical or okay for the rest of the body to like slip in a vote that they know they would lose otherwise, just because, you know, there was a scheduling error. Ooh, quick, take advantage of that.
I love it. I'm sorry. Like, yeah, you're right. It's probably not the ethical thing to do. There's a certain amount of like, how much do we have to bend over backward to accommodate, you know, religious accommodations?
Yeah.
Right.
Well,
and here's one where they were trying to accommodate. The people who were affected didn't alert them in time, right? And so what do you do? Right?
Well, I will say this. Had these been Christians who had miscalculated their whatever and like it had worked out like this, they'd be suing. That would be in the Supreme Court tomorrow if this were Christians. Because they believe that everything needs to operate based on how they think it should operate. So, frankly, I have some sympathy for the Muslims in this case, just because they clearly would not get the consideration that Christians in the same situation would get.
They could sue.
Yeah, that'd go great.
Why not?
Because Christians are the only ones who get anything done in our current judicial system. You know that.
I don't know. Like, I think they should do it.
Okay.
If it's
I mean, maybe they should. I don't know I don't know if there's any legal basis for them to sue. I don't think there probably is. I'm just saying that if they were Christians, they would sue regardless of legal basis and probably win at that. All right. I'm going to take us to Arkansas, where a familiar name is the governor thereof. That's Sarah Huckabee Sanders. She's a peach. And she made sure to do a thing. You know, it's the perennial back and forth. It's the grandstanding. It's the thing. She had her kids, theoretically. This is a dubious claim. She says her kids made this beautiful chalk art thing in front of the governor's mansion on the driveway to the governor's mansion.
Okay.
It looks way too good for her kids to have done this. This was not done by her kids.
Okay.
This was clearly taped out. It's like a mosaic, like a stained glass mosaic thing.
Oh.
That was taped out perfectly.
Oh.
There's no way the kids did this. The kids may have like helped a little bit, but there's no way the kids did this. Anyway, right in smack dab in the middle of this stained glass looking thing is a cross. Real big old cross.
Okay.
So, you know, that's not awesome. Like, you know, that's a very clear statement that I favor one religion here. You know, this governor, like, not only like, if it were decoration in the residence part of the governor's mansion, that's one thing. That's, you know, that's personal art. That is your own damn thing. You know, if your kids made a cross out of macaroni and glue, go for it. Knock yourself out. But this is in the, like, public space leading into where someone would go if they had a meeting with the governor. You know what I mean? Like this, there are public events that happen at this place. So, Americans United for the Separation of Church and State sent a letter to Governor Sanders, just sort of nicely explaining that, no, that's not acceptable. That is the people's house. They own it.
She doesn't care.
Oh, not only does she not care, this is exactly what she wanted.
Yeah.
I mean, they have to send it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like it's, and they said, you know, you're free to display religious images in private areas of the residence, but a public-facing display in front of an entrance intended, quote, to welcome people to the governor's mansion is plainly on the wrong side of the constitutional line, is what they said. So, of course, she tweeted out, "Dear American, at Americans United, I have received your letter and my answer is no. I will not erase the beautiful cross my kids drew in chalk on the driveway of the governor's mansion or remove my post on social media, and I will not now or ever hide that I am a Christian."
Oh, Jesus.
Which is obviously nothing to do with what they said. That is not, but she has done very little apparently as governor, and there's nothing better for your ratings as a politician on the right wing in this country than to grandstand about standing up for your Christianity when no one's attacking it.
Oh, no, Dan. It's clear she was under attack.
Under assault. They might as well have used AR-15s.
Could you please respect all the religious citizens of your state? Dear Governor.
It's kind of your job. It's a little bit against our entire constitution of the country. Could you please be slightly less in running afoul of the constitution of the nation? Oh, no, can't be bothered to do that? Okay, fine.
Well, Dan.
Yeah.
Here's why she should keep the cross.
Oh.
On the grounds, right?
Interesting.
And it has to do with the founding of our nation. I'm going to respectfully disagree with you, Dan, about...
I don't think you are. You've never respectfully disagreed with me in your
How
life.
How dare you? And I'm going to take the side of one Mr. Senator Josh Hawley, Dan.
Oh, I think you should take his side. That's
he doesn't have enough
the right side to take.
He does not have enough people on his side, Dan. Poor guy. No, this week he is under attack by all of us atheist lefties,
flaming liberals.
Ooh, it's awful because he tweeted out a quote attributed to Patrick Henry. He's famous for the line "Give me liberty or give me death." You'll recall the one of the founders of this country.
A big name in U.S. history.
Yes. And there's apparently this quote that floats around that's attributed to him that says, "It cannot be emphasized too strongly or too often that this great nation was founded not by religionists, but by Christians, not on religions, but on the gospel of Jesus Christ. For this very reason, peoples of other faiths have been afforded asylum, prosperity, and freedom of worship here. However, nowhere can anybody actually find any real connection between Patrick Henry and this quote. And people were quick to point this out on Twitter to Josh Hawley,
right?
Because this was his Independence Day, his special Independence Day post. And apparently, the quote does appear from a 1956 edition of the Virginian, which is a magazine known for its anti-Semitic and white nationalist views.
Okay, now it's all making sense. You're starting. Things are starting to gel.
How did Josh Hawley find this quote? Oh, it was in an old copy of an anti-Semitic magazine that he loves.
Yeah.
Anyway, so it's not Patrick Henry who said this. And people attacked Josh Hawley and saying that he needs to,
vet his quotes.
And attacked. It's not attacked. People pointed out that it was inaccurate and he probably should delete it, right?
Right.
He has not.
Which is an attack in their world.
My God,
That is an attack.
is the worst. Instead, Josh Hawley tweeted out on Wednesday that liberals were, quote, major triggered by the connection between the Bible and the American founding.
Right.
And then he had like 6 quotes that try to like tie the founding of the country to Christianity. One of which was from John Quincy Adams, which I'll point out was a child during the founding of the nation, and others.
But he was there.
He actually probably wasn't even in the country, right? See, wasn't he like a little kid off in Europe?
I don't know. It's been a while since I've seen the HBO miniseries, so which is where I get all of my U.S. history.
Is from John Adams.
The John Adams.
It's really good.
If your U.S. history doesn't have what's his
Paul
name?
Giamatti.
Paul Giamatti. I'm not interested.
Paul Giamatti sweating over everything. Yeah. No, he's good in that. There's one part where I felt like he acted a little too far.
Act back a ways. You've acted too far.
You've gone a little too far here. And so, like, okay, if you dig around, you're going to find quotes. You can find quotes from people saying things.
Sure.
But the problem is that the country wasn't founded by any one person. So
Right.
I'm not going to take your quote from your one person. What was the product that they made? Right? What were their joint statements? They said that we should have separation of church and state in the thing that they all decided to agree upon. How about that's what we look to rather than these weird individual quotes that may or may not support anything? But definitely don't go around pulling quotes from anti-Semitic magazines and attributing them to Patrick Henry.
Right. That's funny. All right. Well, I'll take us out of the U.S. for a little bit. That was a fun
Thank you, Dan.
little 4th of July after the fact moment. But we're going to go all the way to Italy, where I don't know if you know this. There's a fairly large Christian sect stuck there in the middle of Italy.
In its own nation, though.
That's true. So here's the thing. Those Catholics have a lot going on all over the world, including a prestigious theological university, the Theological University of Bresanone, which is actually up in the German-speaking region of Italy, near the Austrian border.
Oh, wow. Yeah. Okay.
And they recently appointed the Reverend Martin Linter to become dean of the school.
Oh,
so that is a prestigious thing to have happen. He's a very, very popular theologian and educator. So people were pretty pleased about it. Not going to happen. Mm-hmm. The Vatican has not rubber stamped it. They literally they said no.
Oh.
And the reason is a little surprising, considering that, we got Pope Francis out there pretending he's the big liberal pope that's gonna be the savior of all of the progressive causes within the church or whatever. The reason is because Littner has written and has published a few articles that, basically say gay people are okay and maybe we should be a little nice to them.
Oh, no. Oh.
Yeah. Literally in favor, if you can believe this, of ceremonies to bless same-sex couples. Gross.
This guy's Catholic?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Very much so.
Wow. Doesn't sound like it.
He's not doing it well, and that's why he's not going to get the good job.
Oh.
Apparently, this is actually pretty surprising, though, because, there has been movement within the Vatican toward, a little more tolerance of at least saying you want to be nice to gay people.
Wow.
Maybe not actually being nice, but at least saying you want to. There's been more tolerance of that in the past, but what this points to is that there is significant grumblage within the Curia and there at the Holy See. So there you go.
Oh, golly. Just when you think things are getting better, Dan.
It's so dumb. Half of you people are gay. Half of the cardinals there are gay, and they know it.
Well, that's why they have to keep up appearances, right?
I know.
Like,
yeah, it's that thing. It's that middle school thing of like making fun of the other kid for being gay so that nobody is looking at you.
right. Oh, yeah. Middle school, Dan.
And or adulthood.
And or the Catholic Church.
And or the Vatican.
All right. Well, here's a bunch of middle schoolers who shouldn't be running a country. The Taliban.
Yes, they should not be.
Because women are icky. Girls are gross.
It's the He-Man woman hater club writ large.
Indeed.
Those little rascals over there in Afghanistan.
Oh, that just felt wrong. We hit a point, felt wrong. Yeah, the Taliban, which is how I've decided to say it from now on.
It sounds fun.
The Taliban. They once again are going back on their promise of a more moderate approach to governing. This go around.
But it was so credible when they said that.
Yeah, we all believed it.
We were all so convinced.
Well, the next thing on their list, straighten their crosshairs, beauty salons.
Oh.
Which is really quite awful. And
you can't take off your hijab to go to the beauty salon to have your hair done.
Oh no, Dan. It's not that, because obviously beauty salons are, especially in Afghanistan, are run by women, right? In this part of the world, and offer a lot of women the opportunity to have their own business.
That's a problem,
right? Bring in money into their household. When perhaps their husband has been injured or is gone, or maybe they never married in the first place. Because why does it have to all revolve around men? And in fact, this is actually really concerning because of that fact, that this is about women-run businesses. The United Nations on Tuesday said it was engaged with the authorities in Afghanistan to get the ban on beauty salons reversed. Yeah, we'll see how that goes.
I'm sure it'll go great.
Their statement says this new restriction on women's rights will impact negatively on the economy and contradicts stated support for women entrepreneurship. But the issue, according to Taliban spokesman for the Virtue and Vice Ministry.
That's the good one. Of all the ministries, that's the best one.
Oh, it sounds fun. These are the services that salons offer that he says goes against Islam. They include eyebrow shaping, the use of other people's hair to augment a woman's natural hair.
Oh, interesting.
The application of makeup, Dan, which apparently can interfere with the absorption of water when you enter the mosque, right? You have to, there's ablution, it would interfere with the ablutions required before offering prayers, it says.
Okay.
And I read another article that said it was about the water absorbing into the skin. And so you can't have makeup because that's going to stop that. Potentially, which seems really bad. And that's all they had to say. They don't need to make up this stuff about, eyebrow shaping, right?
Look, the point is, the guys at the top want to have the only pretty wives in the land. They want to be able to have an exclusive on that.
Yeah. Apparently, also, this was stated, salons cause economic stress, Dan, on grooms' families who are required by custom to pay for the pre-wedding salon visit by the bride and her close female relatives. So they're looking out for these poor grooms, right?
It's an economic question.
It truly is.
They
And
figured it out.
That's what's important here, is not women's ability to support themselves in one of the few ways that could possibly still exist, right. In Afghanistan. Nope.
Man.
They're ending it. No more beauty salons.
Well, there you go. If you want to feel pretty, I guess that's where not to go.
Well, yeah. I mean, Jesus
that's also
Christ.
just where not to go. Like, don't go to Afghanistan.
I mean, isn't it enough that they have to wear burqas?
Yeah.
Right? Like,
I mean, to some extent, how would they know? Like, they may be, you may be able to get away with it.
I don't think they've gotten to burqa level yet. Have they?
Okay.
I think it's still just like really, really, really strict covering.
Yeah.
Only the face,
But if you do want to wear some makeup and get away with it, just throw on a burqa over top and you're golden.
And and then you'll be seen as like an overachiever.
Yeah.
They'll be like, look at that righteous woman.
They'll be like, we need more like you.
Wait until you see my sculpted eyebrows.
Yeah, exactly. You can chuckle to yourself. Okay.
Awful.
Well, speaking of chuckling to ourselves, so recently, we've talked about Sean Feucht before. I think he's once or twice, especially during the pandemic. This is a Christian preacher who basically made himself famous by holding super spreader events all over the country while the pandemic was in full swing.
Nice.
So cute. He didn't believe in no virus, and there you go. That's his claim to fame. And now he's quasi popular in the worship set, I guess. He tours around. And one of the stops on his tour recently was the Illinois State House, where he was joined on stage by Lieutenant Governor Suzanne Crouch. And he's a guy, I got a picture of him right here with his long curly hair coming out of a cowboy hat. And he's wearing what looks to be a pseudo military jacket over a sport jersey. So really great outfit. First of all, high marks for fashion for Sean Feucht. But yes, he did a whole, he's got a guitar, he's got a whole band, he did a whole concert thing. He does a whole thing. Well, hot on the heels of that, another band has decided that they want to go to the Capitol as well. This is the band Satanic Planet, headed by the Satanic Temple's own Lucian Greaves.
Oh, good.
They've decided that obviously, if Sean Feucht is allowed to put on a big show, then he is too. Shockingly, you're going to be, just brace yourself. You're not ready for this. They said no. The state sent back a thing. Oh, sorry. I think this is Indiana. Did I say Illinois? I think it's Indiana.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
They're the same, right? Those are the same. Doesn't really matter. Anyway, the whoever it is that's in charge of denying Satanists the things that they gladly give to Christians said that unfortunately the type of event you are requesting is not permitted in the State House. We allow ceremonies and speaking presentation type events, but apparently not this. So, of course, the Satanic Temple did what they do best, which is just said, hey, we don't want to break any rules here. We just want to be afforded exactly the same thing that you gave to Sean Foyt. So whatever it was that you permitted him to do, please just give us that permit and we will do that too. They were claiming that, like, oh no, it's a very solemn building. We don't want singing and dancing and all kinds. We don't want a party atmosphere here.
Right.
And they were like, great, that's fine. We'll just do whatever it was Sean did.
That was their response back.
Yeah.
Oh, that's amazing. So I was like, cool. They just said they'd let you come speak. Right.
Yeah.
So
yeah. So they literally wrote back. Their lawyer wrote back and said that Foyt's public performance in this public facility removes all doubt that ceremonious activity is a historically permissible use of the facility. The "Let Us Burn" tour. That's it. The Sean's tour was "Let Us Worship." So they just basically copied his logo. Mm-hmm. Inverted it from white and gold to black and gold and called it "Let Us Burn." That's cute. They're literally just doing exactly the same thing, but Satan-y.
That's amazing.
And yeah, the "Let Us Burn" tour is a ceremonious activity fully protected by the First Amendment with equal force as the "Let Us Worship" tour.
Oh my God.
So yeah, they are
amazing.
demanding that their application be approved, and hope we'll see.
Oh, I love it.
We'll see.
That's really funny.
Sean Foyt has appeared on in the U.S. Capitol grounds, flanked apparently by Lauren Boebert.
Oh, the Bobes.
So it looks like the Satanic Planet is going to try to make a similar tour, and we'll see what happens. They may have a little bit more trouble than Sean did, but I'm guessing that they'll get into most of the places.
That's amazing. Well, they better, or else
yeah,
it's gonna get ugly.
Well, or it won't. They'll just go to court, and then all of the right-wing judges will just decide that the Constitution doesn't count if you've got the word Satan in your name, and there you go. Nothing much to be done. And that's our country now. Well, if you guys have anything you'd like to say about Satan or the country or any of the things that we've talked about, feel free to write into us, podcast@thankgodimatheist.com.
Or call and leave us a voicemail message. The telephone number is 424-666-8442. Stick around. There's more show coming up.
Well, Frank,
Dan,
we were just talking about Sean Foyt and his ventures onto the U.S. Capitol. I decided we're going to play a clip of him talking about those exact ventures because he's bragging about the things that he did there, and my eyebrow actually raised a little bit on this one.
Okay,
so let's take a listen.
I am coming as a spy that has probably been to more cities than maybe anyone in America in the last 3 years, and I'm here to tell you, yeah, the people are big, the principalities are big, but the fruit is amazing. The salvations, the testimonies, the healings, the miracles, the breakthrough. I mean, it is things that I never dreamed I would see in my lifetime. And I've been all over the world, and what we're seeing right now in America, I mean, I literally just got back from worshiping, praying, prophesying, taking communion in the U.S. Capitol Rotunda. We transformed that rotunda. This is our second time we did it. We snuck in with cellos, violins, guitars. Members of Congress help us sneak it all in. We laid hands all over that place. We brought oil. We brought shofars. We're crazy.
They laid hands all over that place.
Like on the place, or
I mean, I've touched it.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like, is that what
they have their
I just feel like-
shofars and
we snuck it in, and we had members of Congress helping us sneak it in.
God.
I just feel like, it is such wild hypocrisy. I mean, it's obvious. It's Christian nationalism. This is what we're up against is a literal attempt to turn the U.S. into Afghanistan. And they want to be the Taliban. That is their stated goal. And
Well, somebody better tell Boebert's eyebrows, because
well, if I know Christians, the one thing that they will still insist upon is trips to the salon. I've seen how those Duggars do. It is you gotta have, your hair has got to be on point if you're gonna be a girl in or a woman in Christianity.
yeah, yep.
In the Christian Taliban.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, doing ceremonies, if Lucian Greaves did any of that stuff, he would be in prison. So there you go. It's that's America. Do. Well, we had some folks write into us. Some folks wanted to express some stuff to us, so let's get to that.
Nice.
David wrote in to say, "Hi, Frank and Dan. I love your show. Regarding the post office case at the Supreme Court, you'll recall, Frank, that this was a letter carrier who sued because he didn't want to work on Sundays for religious reasons.
Right.
I look at this, David. I look at it less as a religious issue and more as a workers' rights issue. As such, I have a bias toward workers' rights. You reason that it is not right for the post office to make concessions to the religious, that we atheists will have to pick up the slack for the religious who take days off. But that was the same reasoning used by employers and the childless against those who sought paternity and maternity leave. And it was also the same reasoning used against having women in the workplace, who would take up the slack when they were absent every month due to their periods. We as progressives, and most atheists are progressive, I think, should support whatever gains we workers are able to wrestle from our employers, who are always loath to grant even the slightest concession to compassion and decency. We owe it to our fellow workers, even if they hold to Bronze Age views that we find ridiculous. So there you go. I don't know. I don't take a strong stance on this one way or the other. I'm just glad that I don't have to have an employer at this moment in my life.
There you go.
Yeah, I mean, I'm all for workers' rights. I don't have a strong feeling about it, other than maybe if you have to work on an unpopular day, maybe you should get paid a little more. I don't know.
Sure.
That's a thing of value that a worker holds. They should be able to get paid for it. All right, this is from someone signing themselves as a soldotro.
Oh.
Soldotro. I'm going to pronounce it that fancy way.
Yeah, I love it.
Hey, Frank and Dan. I spent more than 20 years in Germany, and my German friends told me that the reason for the church tax is for upkeep of all the historical cathedrals and churches because the government can't afford to do it, and tourist money isn't enough to cover the costs. I understand the cost offset, but when it's forced, it's not right. Seeing how much goes into upkeep for my less than 30-year-old home, I imagine a 500-year-old cathedral would probably take a lot of money to maintain. Thank you for your podcast. Yeah, I mean, I get that it takes a lot. If only these cathedrals were connected to an organization that was like flush with a lot of money.
Without needing some sort of weird tax.
Yeah.
That's what you're saying.
Yeah. I don't. Why is the state taking care? Like I get that. Like there's heritage there, and church. Cathedrals are pretty and interesting, but that's not. Either the government needs to, handle it.
Here's a question for me.
It's just weird. Just yeah. What's your question?
Oh, just like if in a country like Germany where there's like, this tax that they're getting, what level of direct donation are they expecting? Like I'm assuming the plate is still being passed around because whatever they're getting is probably, it's never enough, whatever it is. But I would assume that people also would probably tend to give less directly, right? Like, don't you think? I would feel like, well,
maybe.
I already gave at the office, right? Like,
yeah. Oh, yeah.
Like you're not.
If I'm getting the church tax, I'm sure as fuck not putting anything on the collection plate,
right? But I bet it's still going around. I'd love to know actually if it's still going around. But yeah, like I just think that like, okay, they've got old buildings that need to be kept up if that's what the rationale is. Not all of these things probably need to be kept up.
Right.
Right. Like not all of them are going to be great historical, important buildings. Right. You'll need to keep all your local parishes. Right. Like if you're hemorrhaging members, like you're going to have to give up a few buildings.
Here's the other thing. And I suspect that a lot of these are like, if the government's footing the bill for this, it's not because the church owns them. It's because, they've come into the hands of the government because the church, not unlike Notre Dame in Paris, which is not owned by the church. It is owned by the government. I just wonder, maybe you have to convert some of these things to music venues or to something, you know what I mean? Like keep the shell. That's cool. Keep the history, put a plaque up there, figure it out. But like, maybe that's a coffee shop now. If you can't afford to maintain it, but maybe you need to look at some different models. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, there you go.
We have some folks to thank. I'm going to start us off. Troy, thank you so much. Troy is now a deacon in our not church that has not powers that we can not just bestow upon people. So congratulations, Troy, for your for getting some magic that doesn't work from us. Well done.
And we have a new patron over on Patreon, Dan.
Great.
A new prophet, seer, and revelator, Woke Boomer.
Oh, nice.
So, so thank you to the both of you for your support. And if you'd like to join them, please do so. Go to our website, thankgodimatheist.com, and click on the support tab. And as always, Dan, we have our top donor to thank, our Lord and Savior, Dave S.
Sweet. More show coming up. Well, Frank,
Dan,
here's the thing. You and I have spoken before on this show about the costly signaling, the virtue signaling, if you will, that many religions ask of or demand of their adherents.
Right.
We talked earlier about, burqas and hijabs. There's also yarmulkes and, just various sects have their own things. A lot of Christians want to wear a cross. A lot of, Mormons have to wear long shorts and sleeves lest they show their holy underwear. And I don't mean holy as in have a lot of holes in them, though that may be the case. So we've talked about that. That is a thing that exists within religion.
Mm-hmm.
But there's a thing that happens when you leave religion too.
Especially a higher demand one, right?
Yeah.
Like one with lots of strict dumb little rules, like Mormons.
Not unlike our former dumb religion.
And what actually kind of got this started was there was a op-ed in the Salt Lake Tribune that caught my eye. That was about how a lot of ex-Mormons really get into drinking, right? And it was written by an active Mormon, right? So it was a little judgy.
How could that possibly be?
Because, here's these ex-Mormons out there showing off their ex-Mormonness with a drink.
Yeah.
And the writer was a little bothered by that.
It's so dumb. People, man, Mormons' takes on what ex-Mormons are doing, like when you're in and you're looking out,
yeah,
they literally have no clue.
Yeah,
what's in our hearts, what's going on. They don't ask questions. It's not like they ask anybody any goddamn thing. They believe they know what's happening 100%. They are certain of it.
It's not the worst written thing in the world. She's not just awful. And she does actually, she states a lot of real facts about alcohol, right? Like, and there's a lot of studies and whatnot that, that sort of counteract that whole idea of like a glass of wine is actually healthy for you. There's a lot of people saying that may not be actually the case now. And
right.
So forth and so on. There have been headlines saying that no amount of alcohol is actually safe or healthy or whatnot. But and she cites that stuff in her article. But the idea is that like when you leave Mormonism, like that first cup of coffee, right, or that first sip of alcohol, right,
yeah.
like these are really big moments because you've been told your entire life that these simple little things, they're not going to send you to hell, right? But you're not going to the top levels of heaven, of Mormon heaven, right?
Yeah, you get the distinct sense that this is about as evil as you could be.
Yeah.
Like,
it's
God help you should you smoke a cigarette, or if you know what I mean. Like,
right.
You take that sip of coffee. That's that is the devil's juice right there. That'll send you right down.
Coffee.
It is so absurd. And when you try to make them break, by the way, what's delightful is you think it's about caffeine, but no, it's not about caffeine because you could do soda, but it's about hot drinks. But it's not about, hot chocolate. That doesn't count because it's about brewed drinks. But it's not about brewed drinks because also you can't do, it's not hot because you can't do iced tea or iced coffee either. But it's not, but wait, hang on.
Right.
I think, trust me, they don't understand it either.
Right.
Eventually their minds just sort of knot up and then they just say, no, it's the worst thing to drink coffee.
Well, and I do love that this article was an active Mormon who, we should say an active Brighamite, because they're the only ones of the Mormon movement that actually have this prohibition, right? Like,
really? Nobody else took that on?
Maybe there's some other little groups somewhere here and there, but like,
it started not as a law,
right,
but as like what was called literally the word of wisdom.
Yeah. Like the Community of Christ, they drink alcohol, no big deal. A lot of the independent polygamists, they drink alcohol, right? Yeah. Because they're reading the word of wisdom, right? But anyway, we're kind of straying from
Jesus, for crying out loud, drank alcohol.
Yeah, well, point that one out to a Mormon and see what happens. But anyway, what we're really talking about though is the signaling and the power of the signaling, right? Of when you're exiting Mormonism specifically, right? Having that drink as sitting in front of you, right? As the communicator to whoever you're trying to communicate it to, whether it's family members, big family dinner out at Applebee's or Chili's, and you got your little drink sitting in front of you. You didn't have to tell Uncle so-and-so. You didn't have to go have that conversation, right?
Right.
You have stated it. You are not a part of their Mormonism anymore, right?
Yeah. And if you don't want it to be a statement, it still is.
Right.
As a matter of fact, it is there's no ex-Mormon who was raised in a Mormon family, that cares about it, who doesn't you don't just mindlessly order a beer at dinner and then go, oh, interesting, that might have had an effect. No, 100% what it means if you order a beer at dinner. Like, that is going to send ripples throughout the family instantly.
Well, especially when you have, your porn shoulders exposed.
Yes.
And there's a tattoo somewhere on you, right?
Oh my God.
Like
you might as well have walked straight out of hell.
Yeah.
You are Satan's minion at that point.
But people revel in these things though. Like when I get on I don't do it all the time, but occasionally I'll visit the ex-Mormon subreddit just to see what's going on. What are they concerned about? But they love to post pictures of their markers now, right? Yeah. And they love to post pictures of, they have sort of their beers lined up. That this is my Friday night, and they have 3 different little bottles of craft beer or whatever, right. And because they're getting to, right, and these are the markers, right? This wouldn't matter in so many other communities, but with them it sure does.
Yeah, it does. And it's one of the interesting things is that the alcohol industry here in this part of the country, in Utah, Idaho, and thereabouts, loves to play on it. So you've got one of the most popular beers in Utah, microbrewed beers, is Polygamy Porter.
Right.
And there's Five Wives
vodka or distilling. I guess they make other stuff too, but there's High West is a distillery, is a whiskey distillery, and they at one point, just to really stick it into the eye of the Mormon Church, they actually distilled Brigham Young's. This is the second prophet of the Mormon Church, Brigham Young's own recipe for whiskey. Yeah.
They called it their Valley Tan, just to point out to the Mormons, dude, this is not how it has always been for you guys.
Right.
This was, you guys were drinkers at one point and you got weird about it.
Yeah.
But there's also an interesting thing that happens when people leave the Mormon Church as adults, which is that they were never trained to drink.
Yeah.
They don't know how drinking works. They didn't grow up watching their parents be moderate.
Right.
Or not be moderate and see the results of that. They grew up thinking that this was just evil. So I think a lot of times one of two things happens with Mormons. Either A, they literally they drink, they binge drink. They get drunk. They go from A to drunk, and that's how they drink. Or B, it tastes so bad and they're so unused to the whole thing that they just go, I'm just going to stay not drinking.
Oh, I thought you were the phenomenon of the really crazy sort of intro drinks that people.
Oh, well, there's that too. I mean, it's when I remember when I first started drinking and I could not stand the taste of alcohol. I had never really tasted it until long after I left the church, because it was a while after I left the church before I started drinking. I was in my late 20s before I really started even, socially at all drinking. Mm-hmm. And I had to start, I would go up to a bartender and I would say, I don't know anything about this, but I like my drinks like I like my men, strong and fruity.
Right.
That was my dopey line.
Okay.
just because I wanted it to be very sugary to sort of mask the taste of the alcohol, but I also wanted it to be very strong because I had a very, very high alcohol tolerance, and it was hard for me to feel anything from it. So I just wanted to, Anyway, I've never been a good drinker. I've always been a poor drinker. Now it's just social. I just do it for, because I'm hanging out.
Yeah. And that's as it should be, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not going to pass judgment or anything because I went through my phase. But yeah, like, I think it's good to point out that there's a lot of problem drinking.
Yeah.
Amongst ex-Mormons in
and
particular.
I assume that the similar things hold true in other communities as well.
I would think so. Yeah, for whatever their prohibition is, right?
This is the problem with like the whole idea of abstinence just as a mandate from anything is that the human mind goes either and it becomes this pathologized thing instantly, or it becomes like rebel against this and fuck you, and I'll drink all the things all at once or whatever, and it's just not healthy,
right? To
say you must never Jesus says you're going to be a bad person if you do X or whatever.
Yeah,
abstinence only, sex, abstinence from alcohol, any of that's just such an unhealthy approach.
Yeah,
and it backfires and it does awful things to people.
Yeah,
so
that's true.
There you go. It's funny because Andrea and I are going to go on a trip with Andrea's family, her sisters and their husbands, in a couple weeks, and I'll be darned. We're going to play. I'm going to be ordering some alcohol. This will literally be the first time I'm drinking in front of these people.
Oh. And Andrea too.
What's that?
Andrea as well.
Yeah, I'm sure she will.
Okay. Wow, that's a big step. Just the siblings, though, not the parents.
Just the siblings, not the parents. But it will get back to the parents. They will find out about it.
So
they all know we drink. They've literally, like, they've been to our house. They've seen our vast collection of various alcohols.
Right.
As a matter of fact, Andrea's mom loves it when a bottle runs out so that we can she loves the bottles.
Yeah, some of the bottles are really pretty. Yeah.
So they all know, but it'll still be a moment the first time we drink in front of them, which I think is funny.
Isn't that ridiculous?
It's so dumb. It's so dumb. So anyway, go out there, drink as pleases you, but maybe cool it. Don't get overboard, and go out and enjoy your lives. If you would like to tell us your experience with the first time your family saw you do whatever the thing is that you're not supposed to do, feel free to write it into us, podcast@thankgodimatheist.com.
Or call and tell us about it. The telephone number is 424-666-8442.
Yeah, hey, go to the Facebook page if you want to, facebook.com/TGIAtheist. What are you going to do, go to Twitter?
And if you'd like to join one of our members-only lounges, you can do so. Go to our website, thankgodimatheist.com/members-only. They're great groups to just talk about whatever's on your mind.
Yeah, thanks so much to the Red Rock Hot Club for the use of their music.
And thanks to Gordon Johnston for the use of his music.
And thanks to all of you for tuning in. We sure do appreciate it.
Thanks so much. Bye-bye.